Let's get started. To introduce you to the project, I'd like to call up Bernard Schmidt, who's our Vice President of Automation. Bernard, come on up.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Ford, for the warm introduction. And to all of you, welcome to Jacksonville, and welcome to the JTA's Industry Forum. Jacksonville is a city that's going through an enormous transformation, fueled by a booming economy. And as you saw in the earlier video, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority is very much weaved into that transformation. And as bold, innovative, futuristic thinking, forward-thinking transportation leaders, we invite you to imagine the possibilities of the ultimate urban circulator. Video, please.
In the late 1980s, the automated Skyway Express, or Skyway, was developed to provide convenient links throughout downtown, Convention Center, and Florida State College of Jacksonville. Building on the success of the initial Skyway, a crossing over the St. Johns River connecting to the South Bank and Kings Avenue Skyway Station was added later. The 2.5-mile system now moves 1.2 million passengers annually. After more than 25 years of service, the Skyway is due for modernization. New technologies such as automated vehicles and mobile smart devices offer greater flexibility for public transit, and exciting opportunities to build on our existing assets, creating a more accessible, versatile, demand-responsive, world-class system to more fully connect downtown with our vibrant urban neighborhoods and get people where they want to go. Let's look at the potential. The existing Skyway serves downtown Jacksonville and connects the North Bank and South Bank of the scenic St. Johns River. This project, the Ultimate Urban Circulator, or U2C, makes new connections possible and gives customers the ability to reach more destinations. The new system extensions link downtown to adjacent neighborhoods and vibrant activity centers. Springfield, San Marco, the growing medical complex, and important destinations in between, including the new multimodal hub, the Jacksonville Regional Transportation Center. This plan complements emerging developments such as the mixed-use Brooklyn area, the district, the shipyard's revitalization, and the river enhancement plans along the St. Johns River. Assets from the existing system, including the elevated structure and stations, are repurposed to reduce costs, while state-of-the-art operating technology and vehicles are incorporated to create a new, improved system and experience for the city. The existing infrastructure is transformed by removing the guide beam and adding a smooth running surface. The U2C offers the latest technology to allow customers to easily plan, track, and pay, turning their trips into efficient, custom-made journeys. Vehicles run together or independently, based on customer need. They are routed to busier sections to meet demand and improve frequency, reducing wait times and serving more people. They connect and disconnect at strategic locations for efficiency. A seamless transition from the elevated structure to the street level creates new destinations and greater accessibility, while preserving the character of adjacent neighborhoods. The automated vehicles run in dedicated lanes or in mixed traffic as technology and conditions permit. Features, including advanced controls at intersections, will guide crossing traffic safely and efficiently. Access for all customers is paramount. The system offers the latest accessibility features, providing enhanced services for all passengers. The new system is visually appealing with interior features and best-in-class passenger amenities, such as comfortable seating, electronic information displays, and security cameras for an enjoyable, futuristic, and safe ride experience. By building on our past, employing cutting-edge technology, and working together with our partners and the community, JTA will advance Jacksonville's transit versatility and continue to invigorate the city's economy with transportation options that will allow our citizens to live, work, and play well into the future. Just imagine the possibilities.
All right. All right, so let's talk U2C, the Ultimate Urban Circulator. The Ultimate Urban Circulator is a unique, bold, visionary project that we believe will be the first public transit system to use autonomous vehicles in the United States, right here in Jacksonville. This project is unique because it is unlike any other circulator, demonstration, or even future transit system you can imagine, because it leverages and has three distinct characteristics. Number one, it is the only project which actually proposes to leverage existing infrastructure by converting the existing Skyway structure. Second, it plans to be vehicle agnostic. So part of the philosophy is, though we might launch with a particular vehicle, we look at a system that can use a multitude of different technologies. And three, connecting the elevated with the at-grade roadway through the downtown core, merging these various neighborhoods, makes this the one-of-a-kind project that it is. And so, let's get right into it. As you saw in the video, the U2C was really birthed from the dilemma of what to do with our Skyway. And the decision was made not only to keep the Skyway, but to extend it and to use emerging technologies such as autonomous vehicles. And so what I want you to remember today is the overall 10-mile system is broken into 4 buckets or 4 different phases. The first one being the Bay Street Innovation Corridor. What I want you to remember about the Bay Street Innovation Corridor is it is the at-grade piece of the project, okay? It is the first phase, which is about a little over 3 miles, which will give you the connectivity east and west of downtown. The second is Autonomous Avenue. Autonomous Avenue is the first phase of the Skyway conversion. Literally represents the first conversion between JRTC right across the street to Jefferson Avenue Station. And then you have the remaining Skyway conversions, and of course, the neighborhood extensions. We think this setup is also very unique. By focusing on the first 2 projects, we know that Bay Street and Autonomous Avenue serve as a template for the other 2. And so Bay Street will be a template for the neighborhood extensions, the at-grade neighborhood extensions. Similarly, Autonomous Avenue will be the template for the remaining Skyway conversions. So, a typical project lifecycle looks like this and has these various components. Using Bay Street as an example, you get these various outputs. The JTA has done a great job of advancing this project forward. And so, looking at the overall U2C and the fact that we've generated so much interest, especially from the private sector, and as we've even received an unsolicited proposal, we believe that this is a great candidate for a public-private partnership. And so, I want to spend a little bit of time today walking you through the strategy that we've put together for implementing this project. And so, again, our focus is on the first 2 phases, or first 2 buckets, as I showed you, and the Bay Street Innovation Corridor and Autonomous Avenue. The reason this is important is, as we do this, you have the foundation to do the entire system. So that's a key point. We've literally laid out in our minds what it takes to take something from concept to implementation. And these 6 different buckets. And so you have the infrastructure miscellaneous requirements, funding strategy, the IT cybersecurity. And it's important for me to note that Jacksonville also has a smart cities vision. Okay, so you might hear of the Bay Jacks or the Bay Jacks Innovation Smart Cities Vision, and that exists. And very much the U2C is a part of that, okay? The vehicle design and selection, so we'll talk a little about operations and testing, policy, regulations, and business development, okay? And so our strategy is across both the elevated and at-grade structure, you will use all the same components here, right? The only thing that will be different, of course, is the infrastructure and funding strategy, okay? As you can imagine, in the elevated structure and conversion of the Skyway, there's a lot of different design and engineering elements that don't exist in the at-grade piece. But overall, IT cybersecurity requirements, the vehicle, our vision is that you will be able to come into JRTC from various modes of transportation, get onto an autonomous vehicle, and ride that both at elevation and at grade all the way to a Jaguars game at TIAA Bank Field. So let's get into it a little bit. This is really anchored by our collaborative approach with our stakeholders. And so now, well over a year, we've stood up the Bay Street Innovation Corridor Council, comprised of both public and private sector, but as you can see, really key folks that have helped us advance this project forward to get buy-in. The executive committee meets monthly, and the technical team continues to meet on an ad hoc basis, and I can tell you they meet frequently almost every week. As you can see here, we also interact with the Jaguars organization, and so they've been able to be partners with us and give us a lot of feedback with a lot of the development that's happening downtown as to where they would like to see and how they can use this circulator as well. We've been able to advance this also through the Bay Street Innovation Corridor Council through a series of technical memorandums and great partnerships with folks like the DIA and Lori Boyer, the City of Jacksonville, JEA, the TPO, and all of our stakeholders. And so where we're at today is we've got a completed route. We've pretty much resolved on the roadway concepts. We've also got ourselves good understanding of the parking displacement, the property access and coordination, and as well as the traffic and parking analysis. All of that has been done for the Bay Street Innovation Corridor. When you look at the route, you see right here where the first phase, that first bucket, the Bay Street Innovation Corridor, really completes what the Skyway didn't. And now, by doing this first phase, you really anchor downtown both west and east with JRTC in the west and TIAA Bank Field here in the east, and build that connectivity throughout the downtown core. The previous Skyway is a 2.5-mile aid station that does connect the north and south bank. But in that first phase, we will end up creating the remainder connection that didn't have in that first phase. In addition, I want to point out that you see almost 2 loops. Part of working with our stakeholders and our partners was the fact that we even extended this a little bit to loop around into the upcoming development of the landing, as well as being able to loop and leverage this transit system to provide front door service right to the Jaguar Stadium. Lane configuration. I want to share with you a little bit of our roadway concepts. And again, through work with our stakeholders and our partners, we've basically come to some concurrence on this. And so today, Bay Street is essentially a 3-lane road that has kind of this flex lane. During game day scenarios, the traffic signals are able to flow traffic all in one direction, just to kind of get the flow of traffic out from the stadium. And today what we've agreed on is that our AV system will operate in mixed traffic on the outermost travel lanes. And so on the south side of Bay Street, we will take up what is currently today a parking lane. That will be a lane that we operate in mixed traffic. On the north side of Bay Street, we will retain what's currently there, but the opportunity, when you look at what can actually happen downtown with the development that's happening, we actually leave the possibility for you to flex that up to 5 travel lanes as more development occurs. Or convert that into a multi-use cycle track to be used with bicycles, scooters, and such. And so today, we've gotten agreement with our partners and basically gotten to 10.5 widths of lanes and maintaining 4 travel lanes through Bay Street with the possibility and the flexibility to go up to 5. In terms of the Bay Street Innovation Corridor funding, it is funded to the tune of $44 million, again, across both public and private. As some of you know, the JTA was blessed to be recipients of the Bill grant, $12.5 million, and as you can see here, we have matching funds across our partners. As it relates to IT and cybersecurity, we've also advanced in this area as well. We've done a good job of developing cybersecurity and cyber resilience requirements. We've also developed a survey tool for the cybersecurity and cyber requirement, which we will use as part of the RFP in evaluating folks within the RFP process. As it relates to the autonomous vehicles and how we down select that, the JTA has really been bold in its vision here. Our philosophy and our approach has been to really pivot here and work with partners, work with the autonomous vehicle industry, work with AV tech companies to really tell you what we need. As a public transit authority, we move people on a multitude of modes. We understand what it takes to move people on buses, trains, ferries, and such. And so we've really taken a little bit different approach and bringing vehicles into our test and learn program, learning about these vehicles and being able to give the industry feedback. Out of our test and learn program came what we call the Golden 20. We've been bold in releasing the 20 critical requirements that we believe are absolute needs for an autonomous vehicle in public transit. And so a lot of our partners and a lot of the industry are now using this as critical guidance on how they need to make the next rev of their vehicle, okay? We've also been bold in the fact that we've moved forward in creating the first ever test protocol for an AV in public transit. And so all of that has continued to grow in our test and learn program. And recently, we've closed on our RFP to actually expand our test and learn program. The current test track, which some of you hopefully will get a chance to tour later today, we're having a multitude of tours today. You'll get a chance to tour the test track, our Skyway O&M, and take tours of new autonomous vehicle technologies that we have right here. But because of the ongoing development happening in Jacksonville, the current downtown test track will close in the next few weeks. And so the JTA will relocate to its own test facility at Armsdale. We will leverage a multitude of JTA properties like Avenues Walk, University Hub, to continue to expand in real-life scenarios in testing these technologies. Again, we remain vehicle agnostic. We believe that part of the strength of this strategy is wanting to have a multitude of different technologies operate in one system. As part of this expansion into the test and learn program, we are also procuring connected signals and starting to test that technology in terms of V2I and V2X. All the vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure type of technology, we are now embarking on testing that to get a better understanding of what works well. When we talk a little about policy and governance, as you see, there are a lot of different stakeholders that we have to interact with and that we have to kind of solve issues with. And we've created a variety of different mechanisms to kind of move those issues forward. We talked a little bit about the Bay Street Innovation Corridor Council, and Mr. Ford alluded to the fact that we have the First Responders Council where we've been able to bring in JFRD and JSO, Road Rangers, and all folks to give us feedback that are critical for us in the strategy for the overall U2C. NHTSA strategy, as it relates to the FDA US DOT, that is managed for us in our grant agreement. When you talk about insurance, risk mitigation, and legal issues, we look to leverage our concept of operations, our system engineering plan, and our project management plans to basically move that forward as well. A little bit about that last bucket, what we call business development and analysis. This is also a little bit unique for us, and the fact that we've taken the additional step of saying that we want to evaluate risk, particularly as it relates to the vehicles and some of the other technology providers. One of the things that I share with our board, with my ELT peers and my boss, is what keeps me up at night is making sure that I help the JTA choose the iPhone and not the BlackBerry. That's fact. I mean, the elephant in the room is the majority of a lot of the companies that are bringing forth this technology are companies that might not be here 10 years from now. And so it is super critical that we have a detailed understanding of what your technology can do for us. And so part of that also is even going beyond the technology and looking at risk and looking at the structure of these organizations and how they're funded and how they're financed. We care about the longevity. We care about, do they have the right board structure and how they are going to be there to service us in the long term, okay? Keep in mind that when you look at the Skyway, a 30-year plus system, we care about being with the kind of technology providers that are going to be here to provide us that service 30 years from now. I want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about Autonomous Avenue. If I had to show you a simulation of what Autonomous Avenue is going to look like, it would be this. Autonomous Avenue is going to leverage also the same strategy. But as you see here, it is the first phase in a conversion that looks to put the autonomous vehicle between JRTC and Jefferson Avenue Station. What you see here is unique in the fact that at least in the first phase, we will have a hybrid station while continuing to run the Skyway and bring an autonomous vehicle right next to it. As we do this in phases, we then just continue to move on down and keep kind of converting the Skyway as we continue to do some of the other stations. So this is really critical. I think Mr. Ford alluded to this. We consider this the crown jewel of this project because when you look at the possibilities of what you can do and leveraging existing infrastructure, there is a microscope on us because there are a multitude of other cities that have similar type of APM systems and elevated structures that are in various states of good repair. And so this really now becomes an option of what other people throughout the nation can leverage and use. And I know that we have a bunch of transit authorities and sister organizations right here in this room, so thank you for being here. So where are we today, even on Autonomous Avenue? Again, a considerable amount of work has been done in advancing some of the concept plans and design work in this area. And so we've looked at operations, the track design, the structure, the stations, a multitude of things. And I'm happy to report that the structure is safe and sound. We really were looking at solving three main issues. We wanted to solve the ADA compliance of the retrofit, the roadway design to sustain that retrofit, as well as the existing station modification. And so from that, we contracted the University of Nebraska. We did a variety of different analyses and looked at the structural components. We've looked at the superstructure, the substructure, and the foundations. And so the Skyway is sound. You can see here conceptually, just what we were looking to do is really essentially just remove the center guide rail. What ended up happening is we looked at the fact that, hey, the majority of the Skyway is 2 tracks, only separated by a 2-foot gap. And so to get ADA compliance, we actually took it a step further, creating actually a superhighway at elevation. And so what you see here in option 1 is that retrofit option, is removing that center guide beam, removing what we call that first and second pour, and creating that roadway again. So on the double track, we actually create that and get ADA compliance. On the single track, we don't quite meet that. And so there are a multitude of options here that we need to continue to explore. Again, if I had to show you a better simulation of what removing the double track looks like, it's this. There are several layers up at that elevated structure that need to be removed. We essentially remove that. We also remove the center walls, then putting in a center walkway, creating that entire superhighway at elevation. Another option for us is an entire superstructure replacement as part of the retrofit. This does a variety of different things for us. It actually gives us even better alignment with our stations. And so in this particular option, you would actually remove the superstructure, actually build another superstructure, and bring that on top. That allows you to now create it a little bit differently, maybe to use with a different type of vehicle, heavier vehicles. But again, we're looking at a multitude of options here. Last, there is a lot of thought behind how we connect the two. And so you saw this piece in the original video, which is our concept of a series of ramps. But this is just a concept. We are not married to this. Part of having you all here is to get feedback on what some of the other possibilities that we did not think about. We're not necessarily fully married to this. It could be a series of spirals, it could be a series of elevators, but at the end, we know that connecting the elevated and the at-grade is key for us, and leveraging the existing infrastructure and bringing these vehicles down onto Bay Street.